Welcome back. It's no surprise that COVID-19 has had a massive impact on the housing market, with warnings that property prices could fall by 12% by the end of next year.
And with construction slowly returning back to normal, many are wondering if and when they'll be able to bounce back. Senior lecturer in housing at Technology University Dublin, Lorcan Sir, joins us now to try and answer that very question. A very good morning to you, Lorcan. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning from Cabra in North Dublin.
You had to get that in, didn't you? The location. Every industry in the world, I think, has been hit by COVID-19. The housing industry is no different. Can I ask you, first of all, about those who are trying to get on the property ladder, or maybe were in the process of applying for a mortgage, Lorcan? Where does that leave them now, and how do things change?
Well, in theory, it leaves them in no different a position than they have been already. It's just everything is in limbo. The problem is that a lot of mortgage providers, banks, and that are going back to the people that they have previously approved for mortgages and asking them, have they been affected by COVID-19, either directly through having the disease or the illness, or indirectly by having to be in receipt of the €350 a week payment. And banks are taking the view then that if people have been affected by the COVID-19, particularly in terms of the payment, that they're no longer the people they were when they first applied, and they're either restricting the amount of money that they will lend the first-time buyers, or they're taking away the mortgage approval altogether. Now, I find that slightly unfair in that it's not as if the applicants did anything bad themselves. They didn't do anything silly. They didn't go on a shopping spree and spend all their deposits. What has happened is totally outside the control of the people who are applying for mortgages. So it really is kind of unfair on the people. But for those people who aren't affected by COVID-19 in terms of the payments and that, everything is pretty much in limbo. The good side for first-time buyers in particular, and first-time buyers don't always have to buy a new house, obviously, is that prices should come down because there are fewer people out there who have the ability to buy houses. And if there's fewer people out there, if the market is smaller, then prices should fall.
Lorcan, interesting that you mentioned that house prices should come down. Traditionally in this country, we would have a history of a supply and demand issue. Surely there's going to be less supply of housing, given the fact that construction sites have closed, given the fact that adhering to social distancing means there would probably be less people on a site at any one time, thus delaying the process. And therefore, we're not going to have as many houses as we might have predicted at the beginning of this year. So how's that going to play out for people?
That is exactly the conundrum. We will have prices will come down, but there will be fewer people to buy them, and there will be a lower housing output. So last year we built 21,200 odd houses, and this year we were predicted to build 25,000 houses. I suspect that will be more like 10 or 12,000 houses coming to the market. And you got to remember, when house prices fall, builders stop building because they don't want to build in a market where prices are falling. So there is a conundrum there that we're going to take a huge step backwards in the amount of supply that we need on the market. So usually you will hear the economic gurus saying that we need somewhere between 30 and 40,000 houses a year. Now that's in terms of demographic demand, we might call that. In other words, if I could give away houses for free tomorrow, there's easily 35,000 households out there who would want a house. But of course, houses aren't free. And in any one year, we probably only sell 10 or 12,000 houses. So in other words, there's only 10 or 12,000 people out there who have the capacity to buy the houses. So we're going to see a real step backwards in housing supply this year and next year, and possibly even the year after.
And Lorcan, the whole way we buy a house and view houses has completely changed, of course, because of the shutdown. And I know I was speaking to someone from one of the estate agents during the week, a friend of mine, and he was saying the virtual viewings are actually very successful. And in a way, you get rid of all those, and I'm guilty of it myself, the tire kickers who are just walking around and not necessarily about to be a potential buyer. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. The people on a Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon who want to go and look at what everybody else is buying down the road. Yeah, no, the technology has improved hugely around virtual viewings, and not even the virtual viewings, just the way the information is presented on websites, that you can have 3D walkthroughs of houses that you've never actually been in. You can spin around, you can see it, you can do the paperwork. A lot of the paperwork can be looked at online. There are companies out there that are looking at electronic conveyancing, whereby you actually do a lot of the paperwork. And remember, it's the paperwork that takes up such a long part of the process, that a lot of this can be done online now, which is really good.
We used to say, Lorcan, I can't buy the dress or the shoes or whatever it might be without touching or feeling it. Now, obviously, that's gone. We buy it with the click of a button. So will houses become the same thing? I mean, are estate agents actually closing deals?
Estate agents are closing deals, but what you will find is people are going back to the estate agents and looking for a price reduction. And in very getting it somewhere probably in the region of 4 to 5% that they are getting price reduction. I'm not sure we'll ever, I think for rental property, people are more comfortable looking online and signing the lease electronically and then moving in than they would be spending 300,000-400,000 on a house that they've never been in. Now, personally, I wouldn't do that. I'd like to go and see the house because I'd like to see if there are cracks that I didn't see. I'd like to see, what's working, what's not working. So I think when you're going to spend the largest amount of money that you've ever going to spend in your life, which is usually your house, that I don't think people are going to do it on an eBay basis where you just take a chance and whatever comes in the post is what comes in the post,
Lorcan, purchasing a house is probably the biggest expense so many of us will ever get to do. And with that brings anxieties and concerns. So I'm really interested to get your thoughts on the psychology of the potential buyer now, because there are serious and justified concerns out there over people perhaps getting a reduction in their salary, losing their job altogether, perhaps the fear of not getting approved for a mortgage. So are all of these concerns going to keep people away and keep their money in their pocket just in case?
Yeah, interestingly, what you tend to find in situations like this, now obviously we haven't had a pandemic before, but in other similar situations, you'll find that people, especially when people are staying at home, they're actually saving money because they find that there's less incidental expenses. I know myself going to work every day, that I spend a lot of money on lunch and I spend a lot of money having coffee with colleagues. And of course, all that is gone out the window now. So you'll find that people are able to save more. Unfortunately, they also find it harder to buy something because you can't get out and look at it. And the market is in a bit of a limbo at the moment. I think a lot of people out there, like when you mentioned the word psychology, I think a lot of people out there will be reevaluating their plans and thinking to themselves, do I really want to live where I had set my heart on living? Might it be better or might it be easier? Might it be cheaper to live in the town that I come from or in the location that I come from or somewhere else which isn't maybe, and this is where the cities thing comes in. Cities are, a lot of dense people living close side by side. And I think people are kind of reevaluating and say, would it be better to live where I come from in Tipperary or where I come from in Sligo or even in the commuter belt where there are less people living side by side. And so I suspect there's a lot of reevaluation going on about people's priorities.
And the proximity to the city centre or those kind of business hubs, the likes of the IFSC in Dublin, might not be a priority anymore because, we've shown so successfully that so many people can work from home.
Now, isn't that the truth? Yeah, we all know now that those of us who can do jobs now, some of us are privileged enough that we can work remotely. A lot of people can't. Don't forget the people who drive, the vans and the people who need to work in the service industry and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. They have to go to a specific location. But I think for a lot of people, we have shown how possible it is. I'm to work from home. I'm not 100% sure that it's possible on a permanent basis. I think there would need to be adaptations to houses or to the way people do things to work. But I suspect there will be a lot of companies looking at saying, well, 2 days a week and we can hot desk for the 3 days and then we can get rid of the office space that we have in the city centre.
There's some flexibility there. Lorcan, we're out of time, but thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Thanks, Lorcan.
You're more than welcome.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Now, still to come, a light lunch of a chicken Caesar salad, perfect for the summer months ahead.
Lovely. And Fair City's Johnny Ward on why he's using isolation to look after his health. See you back here soon.
The world is getting hotter, and in Africa, those least responsible for climate change are the most affected. Planting trees helps reduce harmful greenhouse gases, while also providing food, shade and income for African families. Self-Help Africa, together with Glenisk, are fighting climate change with their 1 Million Trees campaign by planting 100,000 native trees in Ireland and 1 million in Africa. You can play your part by donating €5 to plant 1 tree in Ireland and 10 in Africa, or by picking up a pot of Glenisk bio-organic yoghurt at your local SuperValu store until June the 10th. And €1 from each pot will go to the 1 Million Trees campaign. Plant the planet. Help combat climate change for now and for the generations to come. For more information, see glenisk.com or selfhelpafrica.org, or search the hashtag 1 Million Trees. To celebrate good deeds, we are giving you the chance to win a month's worth of Glenisk goodies. Simply share a good deed you have done or that someone has done for you to change@virginmedia.ie, and we'll select our favourite one.